just because you have a badge on doesn't mean you are, you know, God's gift to authority. And we try to, you know, instill that in all of our team members. But this is exciting for us, this ability to get in and teach these kids. If the TEA approves this as a curriculum in the school, we're actually going to have a class for detention in the school system. So they'll learn to be detention officers and get their foot in the door in law enforcement throughout the whole school year, which will culminate in the end of the school year and taking the state licensing exam to be a detention officer. So that we hope is going to be a successful endeavor, and we hope that a lot of other agencies in the state follow suit, and it'll help take a burden off of an overtaxed system that we have right now, because we just cannot find the qualified people to do this job anymore. I don't know if y'all realize this, but it's hard. I know I'm not trying to step on any toes or anything, but I've been doing this for 38 years, and we're a bunch of good people. Amen. Law enforcement officers are some of the best people you'd ever want to meet. Do we sometimes have a different way of looking at things? Absolutely. It comes with the job. You know, it's no different than being a doctor or being a lawyer or being in any other profession that has to deal with sometimes with the worst of the worst situations in life. When you have to deal with those situations, it kind of, I'm not going to say calluses you, but you have to learn to separate the job from the personal aspect of it. I know Dr. Hudnall could talk about that. You know, you can't take it personal. You know, people are going to die. People are going to get hurt. You know, you're going to see children who've been mistreated. So it takes a little bit out of you, a little bit at a time. You just compartmentalize it. You put it in the back of your mind. I'm kind of going all over the place here, folks. I'm sorry if I am, but you know, we have a tough job. Unfortunately, just like in any other profession, we have those amongst us that are not fit to wear the badge. And those are the ones that make it hard on all of us. I'm going to submit to you folks, though, that 99+% of the law enforcement officers on the street today are good, hardworking people, and they're just there to do a job. You know, I understand what happened. I understand what happens. You know, you take the George Floyd incident and you look at that. It's horrible. Okay, it happened. He wasn't trained. I don't think he was trained to do that, but he did it. We're not that way. We don't train that way. We don't encourage those things. We all, who do you think the hardest people are on bad police officers? Who would you think are the hardest on bad police officers? Other police officers. We're hard on them. You know, I can tell you for a fact, Sheriff Larry Smith don't put up with it. He will not put up with it. He backs his men to the hilt when they do the right thing. And he's out there working with them every day. That man, you can't, if you have a bad homicide scene like the one we had at the dentist office here the other day, I'm sure y'all heard about it. You can't keep him in the office. He's going to get out there and he's going to start working with the men and women that are out there investigating that case. But if he has a bad member among his force, he's going to seek them out. He's going to find them. And he's going to get rid of them. Okay. So y'all rest assured of that. I'm trying to talk to y'all in a way to where if y'all have any questions about anything, please feel free to ask me. I'd like to think that this is an open forum. Quite frankly, I start running out of things to say and I start going off on rabbit trails. So, but you know, great. Well, thanks.
You've only got another hour to go, so we're
that Mountain Dew is really still. Yes, sir.
The three big stories, aside from what Elon Musk did last night, the three big stories are Ukraine, inflation, and the southern border. To what extent is the chaos on the southern border felt by law enforcement in Smith County?
Good question.
That's a really good question, sir. What's the name of that camera place in Dallas that we buy cameras at?
Competitive cameras.
Competitive cameras.
How much?
Yes. So that's how we do. We're good. Kind of like we have to be politicians. No, those three things, the southern border, how does it affect us in Smith County? It affects us in Smith County in that, look, the problem at the southern border isn't the people that are coming across the border that are here to try to find a better life for their families. That's not the problem. The big problem is what they bring with them, what's attached to them when they come across the border. Drugs, COVID for that matter, other things that they bring. I think there was a rise. I think I've heard somewhere that there was a rise on the border for tuberculosis case, other things like that. I can't get into all that, but from a law enforcement standpoint, open and porous border is bringing a lot of drugs are coming across that border, even more so now than it was, 20 years ago, simply because they're hamstrung down there. Even the border patrol agents down there are hamstrung. They have been told not to enforce as usual, as they would normally enforce. Our DPS troopers, the guys that are protecting the highways up here in Smith County, Chris Baggett being one of them, that God's going to speak to y'all next week, the Texas Ranger. He's a good man. He has to go down to the border and protect the citizens down there and try to help the situation. But our DPS troopers are being overtaxed right now. They're having to go down there and they're having to do something that the federal government is supposed to be doing. So your state tax dollars are having to pay for that right now. And it's not good, okay? Because what's it do? It has a trickle effect. It takes resources away from our county and it's sending them to an area that they don't really need to be at, they shouldn't be at. So now we've got things happening, because of the lack of enforcement, the lack of bodies, boots on the ground out on the highways or wherever they're at. And so, it does affect us all. Particularly us. What does it do? The other day, we pulled a vehicle over and there were like 8 or 9 illegal immigrants in that vehicle being coyoted to Atlanta, Georgia. What does that hurt? Well, what does it hurt? We don't know how these people came across that border, and we don't know, what they had to pay, what sacrifices they had to give to somebody to coyote them across the border and get them to the situation where they were. So we called the border people. I'm just going to be right up front with you guys. We called Border Patrol, what's the word I'm looking for? Border Patrol.
Customs and Border.
Yeah, Customs and Border Enforcement. We called them out of Dallas. They said to let them go. Can't do anything with them. So we had to let them go. Now, we didn't have to let the driver of the car go. She got charged with it. Okay, we charged her with it. But they're hamstrung. The federal government has given them less authority to do their job. Why? You have to ask yourself these questions. Why is this going on? That gets into a whole other realm. It's not a right or left thing. I think it's an American thing. It has nothing to do with politics. Well, it's got a lot to do with politics, but it needs to be that both sides need to come together in the middle and figure out a solution to this problem. So we have to quit pointing fingers. We have to start thinking of solutions. And that's a whole other avenue that we could go down. And quite frankly, I'm not educated enough to tackle those questions. That question full. If that answered your question, sir. Yes, ma'am.
The detention center officers, you're bringing in,
Mhm.
How many of those do you think will go on to be sheriffs or whatever?
When we interview them, a lot of them have they want the job because they want to get experience, and later in life they want to go to work at adult probation or something like that. They want to gain that experience that they can get in the jail. Others want to eventually go out on the street. They want to be patrol deputies. They want to work. They want to work on the road and take people to jail. Fight crime. But then there's those that want to just work in the jail. Let me tell you, because those are the ones that get in there and promote through the ranks in the jail, and those are the ones that have the most familiarity with the inner workings of the jail. Sheriff Smith just hired a retired warden from TDCJ, from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, and he has come in there with a different approach, and he is making some positive change in that jail with the sheriff's assistance. And so, you know, we like to think of the jail as a career opportunity, but we also like to think of the jail as a stepping stone to get into this, you know, higher realm of law enforcement, whether it be county, municipal, state, or federal. I mean, we've had people working in that jail that are working for the FBI now.
Wow,
So,
awesome.
yes.
Would a privatized jail free up resources to be used for law enforcement?
Okay, sir, I'm sorry. I'm a little hard of hearing. What'd you say?
Would a privatized jail free up resources to do law enforcement?
That's a little above my pay grade, sir, but I can tell you in the past, privatization of jails isn't really a very viable option. It takes a little bit of the control away from the people that really know how to run a jail bed. I just don't think it's a viable option for county corrections. I think it's more of a viable option for state than it is for correctional facility. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask if there are some groups that want to let criminals out of the jails.
Right.
And to let people go free who have committed crimes. And I was just wondering if you, number one, if you know, what is that mindset that they would want criminals to go through? And do we have more and more events in Texas even? I was just wondering about the other DAs. Are they prosecuting?
Yeah.
Are they prosecuting?
$50 fine.
Hear about different DAs that are saying, no, we're not going to prosecute crime.
Well,
You know why? Why do they do that?
ma'am, that's a good question. It really is. You know, there's some people that have a lot more what they consider compassion for people that commit crime, and maybe that's their motivation. Their other motivation could be to garner more votes down the road when they run for office again. I don't know. But in Smith County, we have a law and order district attorney, Jacob Putnam. We have a law and order sheriff, Larry Smith. And we're not going to take crime lightly. The thing about it is that are there people in jail, we're sitting in jail right now that we'd rather just get them out of there? Absolutely. There's people in there for traffic tickets. There may be people in there that got busted for a small amount of marijuana. You know, we have a lot of criminal trespass cases. Let me tell you about a criminal trespass case, folks. If you own a business, let's just as an example, let's say you own a business in Tyler and you got homeless people that hang around your business all the time, and they're becoming a nuisance to your customers, okay? So you call the Tyler Police Department and you say, hey, this individual is just harassing my customers when they come into the door. They're begging for money, and you know, they're urinating on my parking lot, all this kind of thing. So what does a police officer do in that situation? They warn that individual off of that property. Okay, they warn them off the property, and they make them leave. Okay, now, are they going to come back on that property down the road? Yeah, they are. And guess what's going to happen? That owner is going to call the police. They're going to go out, catch that person previously been warned off of that property, and take them to jail. Because if you don't take them to jail, they're going to get mad at you. The owner, the business owner, the person paying the taxes that pays the salary of that police officer are going to be upset, right? So you take them to jail, right? We got a bunch of people sitting in jail right now for that very offense. What do you do? I mean, what do you do? Okay, that means they haven't been to court yet, and they get out of jail. They have to be adjudicated first. Or listen, some of these homeless folks, they go to jail, they're getting 3 squares a day and a place to sleep. So, you know, there you go. Okay, so what are the options? Well, you know, there's no good answer, ma'am, to the question that you said. I can't tell you what the mindset is of people that, you know, my biggest problem with that revolving door are violent criminals and career criminals.
Yes.
That's my biggest problem with that revolving door. Because, you know, I think there was a shooting out in California here the other day where how many people got killed in that shooting, and that guy had just gotten out of prison or jail. Okay. You know, I don't know the answer to that, you know, I mean, but everybody needs to get on the same page. We just need to get on the same page. If there's any kind of reform that can be done, everybody's, well, what's the answer? Well, we'll just legalize marijuana or we'll legalize drugs. You know, I don't think that's a very good decision. In my opinion, it's not. I mean, I know a lot of people smoke weed and they go fine, they function fine, and they do think, you know, is that the answer to legalize it? Well, maybe marijuana, I don't know. But is that going to stop crime? No, it's not going to stop crime. But, you know, I still believe, you know, there's people out there that can smoke marijuana every day of their life. I've never tried it in my life, so I don't know what effect it has on people. But there's people out there that can smoke marijuana every day of their life and function normally and never have a problem with it, okay? There's other people with addictive personalities that can smoke marijuana and it's not enough, and it suddenly becomes that they need something stronger. It's kind of like alcohol, okay? People can drink. There's people that can drink 6-pack a day and they'll be okay, but there's other people that have to have more and more and more, so they become addicted to it. Well, I don't even know where I'm going with this, to be honest with you. But you know, the fact of the matter is that that's legalizing certain things is not going to help the problem. We can't legalize DWI, right? Or we'd have people driving around all over killing people. We can't legalize that. You know, we can't legalize. I don't think we can legalize hard drugs. I mean, how many of y'all would like your children to be able to go across the street and buy marijuana? Think about it. You know, I don't want my kids and my grandkids using it. You know, that's a good question. I think everybody needs to ask their, you know, those that support marijuana legalization. Do you really want your kids having access to it, legally having access to it? I don't. Okay. But that's a complete other story. But I don't think I even came close to answering your question. I'm sorry. But let me tell you, this whole process of this revolving door in jail, I'm not going to get up here and say anything that's going to step on anybody's toes. I have my ideas about it, but it needs to be something. Yes, sir.
Some months ago, we had somebody.
Okay, so I'm just going to be upfront with you about it. I don't know what happened, but I think the suspect who we believe did it found out that he was being, the caltrops have stopped. And that's been 2 years ago, I think now. So.
First of all, I want to say thank you for your time coming here today.
Yes, ma'am.
Especially thank you for what you do. I have a real soft spot for anybody in law enforcement.
Thank you.
I know it's a lot tougher job than you could ever.
It really is, yes, ma'am.
But could you, are you familiar at all with Smith County crime stats, the statistics as compared to other counties around us?
Yeah, I think we compare very nicely with the other counties around.
Place where we could go see those kind of statistics?
Yeah, you can request them. You can send open records requests for a specific area that you want to check crime stats in.
Right, the sheriff.
Yeah, you send an open records request. You can send it to me if you want to. Or you can send it to you can send it to our records custodian, Kimberly Rudd, and she can run a, you know, like a parameter, a certain area around where you're at, kind of tell you what kind of crime statistics we have. You know, we're like the, you know, I was talking about that a minute ago. You know, there's 254 counties in the state, right? We're number 19 or 20 as far as being the largest county in the state, and our jail is about number 19 or 20 in size. You know, obviously the biggest jails in Texas are Harris County, Bexar County, you know, Dallas County, Tarrant County, and then that place down there in the middle of the state, what's it called?
Austin.
Yeah. I can't never remember the county. I can't never remember what county is it? Travis County. Yes, I always forget the name Travis County for some reason. I don't know why, but anyway, that place, that's a very, you know, those are some big counties, and they have a lot of problems staffing the jail right now. You know, just pray for these people. It's going to get worse, folks. I'm not here to spread roses about something I can't spread roses about, but it's going to get worse before it gets better, and I hope it gets better eventually. But Texas Department of Criminal Justice, they're the ones that house the worst of the worst criminals, murderers. They house them all down there. 8,000 staff short. right now. 8,000. Texas Department of Criminal Justice applying for detention jobs all the time. Why? I got to get out of there. It's a zoo. It's a circus. The inmates are running the system. We're not far away from chaos, folks. We gotta start turning things around.
Yes.
Do you think at some point there will be a time in this, when it gets worse, that they will release the lesser of the criminals and just?
Ma'am, I mean, the thing about it is that we can't
Yeah, I guess.
we can't really categorize lesser because, what is lesser? I mean,
Well, like a murder or a joint.
yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, we can't release anybody.
Yeah, I didn't know if it would get.
No, we do not have the authority as the sheriff's office to release anybody from the jail. That comes from a judge.
Yeah.
We don't have that authority.
Yeah.
But, basically what needs to happen is that the system just needs to move a little faster. We need to get these people out. We got a lady that works for some private organization here in Smith County that she is constantly up at that jail trying to find people that are that should be getting out and helping them get out. I want to tell you, well over 50% of the people that are incarcerated in jail have mental problems. Texas ranks dead last in the nation for mental treatment. Dead last. That's not something to be proud of. We need to spend more money on beds for mental patients. We need to spend more money. And folks, with everything going on, and let's just take military people, for example, what they're seeing, what they saw in Vietnam, what are they seeing in Afghanistan and all these other places. Now they're coming back home, or they're back home. They're going to have mental problems coming up. COVID, how many people have been segregated away from society because of COVID? How many people really just bent them out of shape? We're going to have a lot of mental problems in the future. We need to start figuring out ways to address this mental health crisis in this country. So, anyway, is that my time?
Yeah.
I'm not ready to go.
Don't run off. Rhonda, would you come on up, please?
Yes.
Come on up,
Get up there, girl.
please.
Pretty please. It's nothing bad.
I like this thing. It's handy. On behalf of the club, I want to present both of you with a certificate. What we will do is we will donate a book to the Literacy Foundation in your honor. We've enjoyed having you both here.
This is nice. Thank you so much.
We really enjoyed having you.
Yes.
I've got a son-in-law that's a state trooper.
Oh, yeah.
And everything you said about the border, he will back you up.
100%.
It is a mess.
Thank y'all for all you do.
Y'all make sure that y'all pick Chris Baggett's brain next week when he comes in.
Yes.
Okay, we'll do that. All right, now it's time for the Ace of Diamonds Award. How much we got in the pot this week, JD?
We got $2,164 and 44 cards.
Okay, let's let Vonda pick. Will that be all right?
Yeah, I'm going to. I didn't know if that was good.
She got some minutes.
You just dropped a ticket there.
That was fun. Got my number, Bill. Okay. Now, I have one question before you read it off.
Yes?
This detention thing, you think you would have gotten through high school faster if you got credit for detention?
I asked him about that and they just laughed and laughed.
I've already called him an attorney.
Yeah.
$533.
533. Who's got How many tickets did you buy this week? More than 50? 21.
Yeah, more money to spend.
Oh, okay.
No, this is from everybody, they're $1.
Jack Lars, not even close. Well, guys, it's been great being here. It's been great seeing everybody. I have enjoyed the meeting, as I always do. And now I'd like to ask everybody to stand as we recite the four-way test and the things that we think, say, or do as Rotarians. First. Second.
Fair to all concerned.
Third.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And we're dismissed.